The Royal Orchid Hotel was buzzing with anticipation, but one man's future hung by a thread. Richard Alvarez, the hotel manager, was about to close the biggest deal of his career, a deal worth hundreds of millions. Everything depended on perfection, yet one overlooked presence could change everything. While Richard panicked, struggling to communicate with a foreign billionaire, a quiet janitor pushed a mop across the lobby, invisible to everyone, or so they thought. What happened next would shatter expectations, reveal hidden brilliance, and punish arrogance in ways no one could imagine. Who really held the power that day, the manager or the man no one noticed? Richard Alvarez was no ordinary hotel manager. He had spent years climbing the ladder at the Royal Orchid Hotel, shaping a reputation for precision and control. Every corner of the lobby reflected his obsession with perfection, from the gleaming floors to the immaculately arranged concierge desk. Today was the culmination of everything he had worked for. A meeting with Mr. Kenjiro, a Japanese billionaire planning to invest $450 million in Brazil. Success would cement his career. Failure would ruin it. Every staff member knew the stakes. Richard issued strict instructions, their every move under scrutiny. Yet among all the polished waiters, assistants, and coordinators, one person was purposefully ignored, a janitor named Diego Ramos. For Richard, Diego was invisible, a shadow moving between rooms, a man whose skin and uniform marked him unworthy of attention. "You will stay invisible," Richard warned him earlier. "Your place is only with the mop and nothing more." But while Richard focused on appearances and protocol, he didn't realize that the quiet figure sweeping the lobby carried a secret, knowledge and skill that could outmatch anyone in the room. And as the doors opened to the billionaire and his team, Richard's control and the entire deal would soon be tested in ways he could never anticipate. The day of the meeting arrived, and the Royal Orchid Hotel shimmered under the midday sun, polished to perfection. Richard Alvarez's heart raced with anticipation, but the moment the Japanese delegation walked through the lobby, unease began to creep in. Mr. Kenjiro and his team spoke rapidly in flawless Japanese, their words precise, technical, layered with meaning. Richard's carefully rehearsed preparations dissolved instantly. He fumbled with his notes, glanced helplessly at Google Translate, and felt a creeping panic as the translations turned comical or flatly incorrect. The Japanese team exchanged quiet glances and restrained laughter, their subtle amusement cutting deeper than any overt insult. One question after another, Richard stumbled, mispronounced terms, and provided answers that were vague or completely wrong. The tension escalated with every misstep. He could see the doubt forming in Mr. Kenjiro's eyes, a silent question hanging in the air. Can this man be trusted with hundreds of millions of dollars? Meanwhile, Diego Ramos moved quietly across the lobby, mop in hand, pretending to focus on cleaning. But his ears caught every word, every misinterpreted question, every hesitation, every hint of embarrassment that painted Richard in a humiliating light. What the manager saw as a lowly janitor brushing past was actually a mind working at lightning speed, analyzing policies, regulations, and economic intricacies that Richard couldn't hope to understand. Diego's life had been a constant struggle against prejudice. Despite excelling academically, earning degrees, and mastering multiple languages, doors remained closed. In Brazil, a man like him, skilled, intelligent, ambitious, was often judged by skin color and uniform rather than talent. Every library book, every late-night study session, had prepared him for something like this moment. But the world had repeatedly reduced him to a mop and a bucket. I have spent more time understanding the world than most, yet the world has never acknowledged me, he thought silently. The room reached a critical point. Richard's face flushed with desperation as Mr. Kenjiro leaned forward, voice measured but cutting. "If you cannot understand our questions, how can we trust our investment to you?" The words reverberated through the lobby, and the entire deal teetered on the edge of collapse. Richard's authority, built over years, was crumbling in front of everyone. And then, just as the tension reached its peak, all eyes unknowingly shifted toward the janitor. Diego straightened, his mind rehearsing months of preparation. Every policy, every regulation, Every potential pitfall of investing in Brazil had been carefully studied, organized, and memorized. The lobby held its collective breath, though no one knew why yet. Something unprecedented was about to happen. Something that would change not just the fate of the deal, but the very order of respect and recognition in the room. Diego stepped forward, the mop forgotten at his feet. The lobby seemed to shrink around him, every eye suddenly drawn to the man Richard had dismissed for years. Richard's face twisted with shock and fury. "Get back! This is not your place!" he shouted, but Diego ignored him. Every word he spoke flowed in perfect Japanese. Confident, precise, and authoritative. He explained Brazil's investment policies, tax regulations, and risk assessments with clarity and depth that left even the seasoned Japanese team silent. The room, once dominated by Richard's false control, now vibrated with a new energy, one of awe and undeniable respect. Mr. Kenjiro leaned forward, disbelief and admiration etched into his expression. Finally, someone who truly understands both Brazil and Japan. Why is he cleaning floors instead of sitting at this table? The question hung in the air like a challenge and a revelation all at once. Richard's panic deepened, his arrogance now a visible liability. He had spent years climbing, polishing, and controlling, but none of it mattered when faced with true knowledge and skill. Every misstep, every overlooked detail, and every dismissive glance he had cast toward Diego now came back to humiliate him. Meanwhile, Diego's years of preparation, silent study, and perseverance against a world that refused to recognize him were paying off in real time. The Japanese team, once skeptical, now listened intently, hanging on Diego's every word. Their questions, once barriers, became opportunities for him to showcase not only intelligence but strategy, insight, and foresight. What had been Richard's disaster transformed into Diego's triumph. And as Mr. Kenjiro declared, "From now on, I will only work through him." The full weight of irony and justice settled over the room. Diego's gaze briefly met Richard's, calm but piercing. No words were needed. The unspoken truth was clear: power, respect, and success were never determined by uniform or skin. In that moment, the world had shifted, and nothing would ever be the same for either man. In the weeks that followed, the Royal Orchid Hotel became a different place. Diego Ramos, once invisible, now held the title of Director of International Relations. Deals that Richard Alvarez had dreamed of controlling were now orchestrated flawlessly under Diego's guidance, bridging cultures and investments with unmatched expertise. Richard, meanwhile, faced the consequences of his arrogance and prejudice. His demotion was a quiet but public reminder that dismissing talent based on skin color or social status can destroy even the most polished careers. Diego's rise was more than personal victory. It was a statement against the systemic blindness that allows brilliance to be overlooked simply because it wears a uniform or comes in darker skin. Every contract he closed, every meeting he led, was a quiet testament to resilience, intelligence, and the human spirit's refusal to be confined by prejudice. The hotel's corridors, once echoing with hierarchy and assumptions, now resonated with respect earned through merit. And yet, the story left a question lingering in the minds of those who witnessed it. How many Diego Ramos are still unseen, their talents ignored by a world too busy judging appearances? True power, the story reminds us, lies not in status or authority, but in the courage to step forward, to claim the recognition that has long been denied. As Diego looked out over the city from his panoramic office, overseeing deals that would shape futures, he didn't feel vengeance. He felt triumph. The best revenge, he realized, was not to punish those who looked down on him, but to achieve so much that ignoring him became their greatest regret. And for every viewer watching this story, the lesson remains clear. Greatness cannot be measured by color, position, or uniform. It is only recognized when we dare to see it. What would you do if someone you overlooked turned out to be the key to everything? If Diego's story inspired you, hit that like button and share your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal the power of courage, talent, and justice.